Write your name down. Anybody? Okay, Dina.
Chronology of the Bible, Ancient Israel.
So this PowerPoint is all about dates, people and dates, which again, you have to be able to place it, think of the dates we've already learned of Mesopotamia and Egypt. So where does Israel lie? Okay, so just think about that as we go through it, right? Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Israelites, Hebrew. It began with Abraham, lived between Egypt and Mesopotamia. Early history written in Torah, the Old Testament. Abraham, the tribe leader, led followers out of Ur. Yahweh promised land in Canaan in 1900 BC.
Good. So remember, yeah, Abraham, tribe leader, leads followers out of Sumer. Remember the city-state Ur, right? That's Sumerian, right? And Yahweh, right? Promised land in Canaan, roughly 1900 BC. So that's where the that's where the story starts, right? The ancestors.
Abraham comes to Palestine. Isaac is born to Abraham. Jacob is born to Isaac. Jacob has 12 sons who become ancestors of the tribe of Israel. Most prominent of these sons, Joseph becomes advisor, vizier to the king of Egypt, Ramses II.
Okay, thank you, Mia. Thank you. Sorry, Dina, I want you to read that again.
Okay. Isaac is born to Abraham. Jacob is born to Isaac. Jacob has 12 sons who become ancestors of the tribes of Israel. Most prominent of these sons, Joseph, becomes the advisor or vizier to the king of Egypt, Ramses II.
Good. So again, Abraham, roughly 1900. You could see in this tree here. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and the 12 sons, including Joseph.
(1700 BC).
Read the title. Don't miss the title.
The Israelites in Egypt. 700 BC to 1250 BC. Descendants of Jacob are enslaved in Egypt. 1250 BC, Moses leads the Israelites out of Egypt. 1250 to 1210 BC, the Ten Commandments. The Israelites wander in the wilderness. Moses receives the law on Mount Sinai.
Good. So it's during this time we get the 10 Commandments, right? Moses receives the law on Mount Sinai, and the Israelites are enslaved roughly between 1700 and 1250. Remember, this is during the New Kingdom, right? During the golden age of Egypt. The Israelites are enslaved in Egypt. And Moses comes around in 1250. During the times of Ramses. Yes. Go ahead.
The conquest and settlement of Canaan. 1210 BC, Joshua takes Canaan. Joshua leads the first stage of the invasion of Canaan. Israel remains a loose confederation of tribes. The leaders are heroic figures at this time, judges.
Judges, yeah, that's the book in the Old Testament, Judges, the heroic leaders for the Israelites. And here, remember the three kings of Israel, the three kings, King Saul, King David, and of course the temple of King Solomon. Okay, these are the three kings.
Oh, should I read it? The
Yeah.
United Israelite Kingdom, Kings of Israel, 1030 to 1010 BC, was a reign of King Saul. 1010 to 970 was reign of King David, and 970 to 931 BC was the reign of King Solomon.
Okay, so now the exile and restoration. Ooh, we're going to see some different tribes now. Please read.
The Assyrians invade Israel 725 BC. Nebuchadnezzar II defeats Egyptians in Mesopotamia. Jews are taken into exile in Babylon 587 BC. Persian rule begins 539 BC. Edict of Cyrus I allows Jews to return 520 BC. Restoration of walls in Jerusalem.
Yeah, so you could see it's been a very difficult time for the Israelites throughout the Mediterranean world and the ancient world. Started with the Egyptians, then is invaded by the Assyrians and their power, and then the new Babylonians and Nebuchadnezzar. They are sent into exile in Babylon, and then until the Persians take power and they are allowed back, and they're able to restore the walls in Jerusalem.
I remember I read like a story about like how like during the Persian rule of they were like peaceful to them and stuff.
Yes. Yep. They were. Yep. Okay, so time between the testaments. Continue reading.
Alexander the Great established the Greek rule in Palestine 333 BC, ruled by Ptolemies. Roman general Pompey takes Jerusalem. Palestine ruled by puppet kings appointed by Rome 37 BC to 4 AD. Roman puppet king Herod the Great rules Palestine.
So this is just the history of Palestine. It was taken over by Alexander. Again, then becomes a Roman state ruled by what we call puppet kings. Okay, which are appointed by the Roman emperor.
So this was like a long time after the Persian Empire.
This was after Persian. Yep. Yep. Okay, so and then again, this is where we have the New Testament, right? The birth of Jesus in Jerusalem, and we know that story. So this was just the Old Testament in terms of the dates. Okay, the chronological order. So that's the first PowerPoint. It's just dates and the chronology of the ancient Hebrews. This PowerPoint is going to go through some important terms. Okay, Sarah, you can read this one.
Awesome. Historical overview. Ancient Israel is the birthplace of the three great monotheistic religions of the world: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Ancient Israel dates back approximately 4,000 years to the books of the Old Testament. Great patriarchs of Judaism: Abraham, Jacob, Moses, and Joshua. Hebrews, Israelites, Jews, Semites, all have undergone persecution throughout history, from Babylonian captivity, Exodus, diaspora, Spanish Inquisition, Holocaust.
Good. The diaspora. Is the Roman. Yeah, that happened in Rome. Okay, so yes, and remember, so this is the first now monotheistic religion in this polytheistic world, right, of Mesopotamia and Egypt, right? Now, we do get something that's very similar to this with the Amarna Revolution, right? The Amarna Revolution was, again, monotheistic, one God, which is, right? So around that time, we start to get this understanding that, no, we're going to believe in one God now, okay? And so that we call monotheistic. We see it here in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And the important patriarchs of Abraham, Jacob, Moses, and Joshua, right? So what is in a name? Continue.
What is in a name? Hebrew means from a cross. Name given to Abraham and his followers. Israelites. Abraham's grandson Jacob renamed Israel, which means he who has wrestled with God. His descendants were called Israelites. Jews.
Struggle with God, right? Israel means struggle with God, right? Yeah, same thing. He who has wrestled with God or struggle with God. Yep.
Jews, named after Jacob's son Judah. ancient father of the tribe of King David's dynasty. Tracing roots of Israel's history. Nomadic tribes wandered into Palestine from east in approximately 1900 BCE. Mesopotamia's society dominated by polytheism. God, Yahweh, appeared before patriarch Abraham and told Abraham to go and raise a great nation. This began the monotheistic tradition of the Hebrew faith with the establishment of the covenant, chosen people, and promised land. Abraham settled in Canaan. Story, sacrifice of Abraham.
Good. This is just a very quick, just important points, the overview of Israel's history, right? Starting with Abraham and the covenant. Another look at the ancient world, the Hittite Empire up here, Egyptians here, Israel over here, Mesopotamia over here.
Jacob, grandson of Abraham. Abraham's grandson Jacob took name Israel, which means God ruled and organized Israelites into 12 tribes. Some tribes settled in Egypt due to drought and famine and were subjected to Pharaoh rule and slavery. The 12 tribes of Israel.
That's okay. You don't have to. That's okay.
I was like, oh God, I'm probably going to butcher those by accident.
Okay. Go ahead.
Moses and Exodus. Let my people go. Moses received revelations from God, burning bush, rod, and staff, 10 plagues, parting of the Red Sea. End of 13th century BCE, Moses led the Israelites out of bondage in Egypt during Ramses II reign called the Exodus. Moses led the 12 tribes of Israel to Mount Sinai, where Yahweh gave him the 10 commandments, uniting the Hebrews under one God. Moses and the Hebrews searched for the promised, quote-unquote, promised land and the land of the milk and honey. However, they wandered in the desert for 40 years.
Good.
Wow.
Yeah. You guys remember this, right? Like this you guys should already know the essence of the story, right? Yes?
Yeah. I didn't know that they wandered in the desert. Did they
Yes.
never find it?
Yeah. So if you go back to, so this is a better one with the dates. So if you see here, after Moses leads the Israelites out of Egypt, they wander in the wilderness roughly for that time here. Okay. About 40 years. Remember grade 10, Christ and culture? That's that's when this, because in grade 11 you had world religion. So it was grade 12, Christ and culture, that you would have really learned about this. If you remember a couple years ago, yeah. Remember the 10 Commandments. And again, the 3 kings of Israel, please, Sarah.
1230 BCE, Israelites guided by Joshua invaded Canaan, the Promised Land. 1020 BCE, first king of Israelites was Saul, then David, then Solomon. Under King David, the Israelites captured the city of Jerusalem. King Solomon built the Temple of Jerusalem to house the Ark of the Covenant, sacred box to hold Torah. Solomon's temple was destroyed during Babylonian invasion, rebuilt in 6th century BCE, and destroyed again in 70 CE by the Romans. Only remaining part of the Solomon's temple is the Western Wall.
Yes, the Western Wall, which is still there today. Just gonna scroll down. Okay, this is a really good slide here. So this is going to go through some other terms that are really important, okay? Like Hellenization, Maccabees, diaspora, okay?
Okay. Diaspora is a Greek word meaning sowing of seed or dispersal, which refers to Jewish population living outside of Israel. In 332 BCE, Jewish people infell under Hellenization, Greek culture, as Alexander the Great conquered Persia, Egypt, and India. In 164 BCE, group of Jews called the Maccabees revolted against Greek rule, took control of Jerusalem, and rededicated the temple to God. Hanukkah. 64 BCE, Jerusalem fell to the Romans, and the kingdom of Judah became one of the provinces of the Roman Empire, Judea. The people living there were called Judeans, and it is from this word that we get the word Jew. In 66 CE, the people of Judea revolted against Rome. This uprising was crushed and the temple was destroyed for a second time in 70 CE. Despite the dispersion of Jewish people throughout Europe after 70 CE, their culture and religious beliefs have been by far the most influential of all the ancient cultures of the Near East.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And the last slide.
Okay. Covenant, formal agreement between Hebrews and God, Yahweh. Hebrews worshipped God and only God, and in return, they would be God's chosen people and given Canaan as the promised land. Spiritual ideas profoundly influenced Western culture, morality, ethics, and conduct. Three of the world's most dominant religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all derive their roots from the spiritual beliefs of the ancient Israelites.
And so this is important stuff, and now we're going to look at the history of when it all started, because this is our time frame, right? This is antiquity, and the Israelites are part of this. Okay, so this PowerPoint's really important. There's some definitions that you're going to have to answer, which can be found in this PowerPoint here. Like for example, I have these PowerPoints can be found in this PowerPoint that we just watched. But before we move on with our reading, I do want to show you this. This is an episode from the Bible series. It's absolutely fantastic. Some of you might have seen this already. This is episode 2, where it takes us into the slavery in ancient Egypt, okay, of the Israelites. And we're going to take a look at the story of Moses, Ramses II, the pharaohs, the Egyptians. Okay, it's really, really good. So I don't know if we're going to watch all of it, but we'll see how it goes, okay? So follow my screen. This is going to lead us into what we're going to do next, our reading. So make sure you watch.
Previously on the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Adam and Eve disobeyed God and ate the forbidden fruit. Since then, since Cain killed Abel, God has seen too much evil in human hearts. God warned me. He told me to build a boat. He is cleansing the earth for a new beginning. Abraham, God has spoken to me. Go to the land I will give to you. I will bless you with descendants as numerous as the stars. You will have a child.
I can't. It's too late for me.
Abraham, there just isn't enough land. There are too many of us. It's time we go our separate ways. What happened? There were so many of them. And Lot? Alive. But taken prisoner. How can I lead a people when I can't even lead my own family? Trust in God! Abraham, we're carrying on to Sodom. You're going to destroy it. The whole city. Will you destroy the good man Along with the evil ones? Abraham, where is your wife? Though she is barren, Sarah will have a son. You will name him Isaac. God wants a sacrifice. Have I not shown you enough faith, Abraham?
Nearly 400 years after Abraham, famine has forced the Israelites from the promised land to Egypt. Here they have been enslaved by the Pharaohs. Abraham and God have become a distant memory. All his people reduced to beasts of burden. Except
Can you hear this clear and see it fine, guys?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
one.
Moses. You're not going to fight again.
I can't refuse. He's Pharaoh's son, Mother.
The fighting between them has to stop.
Moses doesn't want to fight. It's your son who forces him into it and keeps losing.
So this is Moses fighting against Ramses II, who will be Pharaoh. Okay.
You may be my sister's favorite, but I will be Pharaoh. I will be God! Please, fight me! I order you!
Moses! Enough!
He needs to learn his place. You would want to start to be Pharaoh.
Then you'd better start behaving like one.
This is your fault. You should never have let her keep him.
Silence!
You're not one of us.
Silence, I said!
What's he talking about?
You'd better tell him now. You! Come with me.
Mother, tell me what? What?
Moses, I love you like a son. But you're not my blood. You were born a slave. Father killed so many children. He feared a rebellion. Your people were too many.
My people.
I saved you. Your people are out there, Moses. Our slaves, the Israelites. You had a brother, Aaron, and a sister, Miriam. But they are not like us. worship the God of Abraham, and he has deserted them.
Israelites, run! Run! I will hide the body. My lord, the amulet of Moses. Shall we hunt him down? No. Let him go. He's no threat now. Welcome to your new life, Moses! You are nothing now! Nothing.
Your people are out there, Moses.
You're not one of us.
They worship the God of Abraham,
You should never have let her keep him.
and he has deserted them.
I will be Pharaoh! Moses. Moses. I am here. I am the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and Jacob. You are real. I am. I have seen the misery of my people. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring them out of Egypt. But how can I set them free? I will be with you. With your power, I will set my people free.
In Egypt, there is a new man on the throne. Moses' old rival is now the Pharaoh.
Thank you, Father.
One day you will have an army of them. Real ones. So much suffering. Hey, you! Hey, you! Ah, that's a word! God! Ah! Wait, please! I'll take care of it, Master. What are you doing? Trying to get someone beating? Who are you? What are you doing here? My name is Moses. Moses. You are Moses. I need to see your elders. Come with me. This man says he's Moses. Runaway prince. You're wanted for murder. You're who you say you are. Why would you return? God has sent me. I am here to set you free. God has sent you? Yes, God sent me to speak to you. Have you forgotten God? Even if you have, He has not forgotten you. In case you had forgotten, Pharaoh is the only God we have to fear. And you think he's just going to let us go? Who created the earth? Sea, sky. Who created you? Pharaoh? Oh, God. You're demented.
No! He isn't! He's my brother.
Moses! God sent me a dream to say you would return. This is Miriam, your sister. Brother. My children. My family. My people. Our people. God's people! God's people! Old Pharaoh may have been fond of you. It's his son you'll have to deal with now. Why would Pharaoh even see you? Oh. He'll want to see me. You have a son. An heir. Our dynasty will last forever. Why are you here, Moses? Have you come to ask for forgiveness? No. God saved me for a purpose. Yes. I come to demand that you release this people from slavery. Demand, let my people go. You always were a fighter, Moses, but you never knew when you were beaten. If you defy God, you will be punished. You return after all these years to threaten me. Tell me, is it your invisible God that's going to punish me? The one who abandons his people? The one who runs from his responsibilities, from his past, from his family? Teach them who God is. I am God. I am God. Moses, you made Pharaoh angry. He will punish us. Don't make it worse. God has spoken to me. He will force Pharaoh to free us. If he has to.
What should we do?
Sister, brother, all of you, trust in God. Pharaoh is over there. If he didn't listen to you when you were 6 feet away, why would he hear you now? You will see. But just stop in the water. You are not a god, but just a man. And you will set my people free. Move away! Moses! Do you doubt, Joshua? All my life, I have been Pharaoh's. I will never be a slave again. God is with us. This is just the beginning. Our Lord is sending 10 plagues to change Pharaoh's mind. Let my people go. No! Locusts. Moses?
What is Pharaoh's answer? Surely he will see sense now.
No. He refuses.
Again?
Give up, Moses, before it's too late. God will keep on doing this until Pharaoh breaks.
What's wrong?
Soon there will be a final plague. The angel of death is coming. Every firstborn son will die.
No, but not us. Why will he punish us?
Death is coming for us all. Words. Friends! We can be spared God's vengeance, but only if we do exactly as he tells us.
Don't spill! Every single house must be marked with blood. The Israelites mark their doorways with lamb's blood, identifying them as God's people. We promised God would free our people, but now he sends us death.
We must trust in him.
It's coming.
Will we be safe?
Don't be afraid, my son.
God of mercy.
Pharaoh has not listened. Whatever happens to his people is now on his head.
Once I counted them as my people, Joshua. Our freedom comes at a price.
The angel of death finds every Israelite house painted with blood and passes over.
Why? Why? Why should Israelite slaves have life? My son is dead. Get up. Get up. Go! And leave my land. Take your wretched God with you. Come on, girl. to fulfill Abraham's covenant with God. We're going to live in the promised land with descendants as numerous as the stars.
Okay, I am going to stop it there. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Later, you can finish it off. So you can see I posted it right here. So there's about 20 minutes left. Maybe towards the end of class, you can watch the rest. Okay, so it's here for you to watch. What did you think? Pretty good? Pretty accurate?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. So I would like to read a little bit of our package before I let you get started to complete your homework. Let's turn to this package right here, Israel Reading and Questions. If you scroll down a couple, we'll start with the Hittites, another ancient tribe, okay, which we learned a little bit about. Let's start with the Hittites. Let's get a new reader for us. Who would like to read? Do you want to take a 5-minute break? You guys want to take a 5-minute break? Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back at 1:33. Okay, let's say 1:33 p.m. Okay, so we'll go take a washroom break, go get some fresh air, and we'll be back in about eight or so minutes. Okay. All right. Okay, Hannah, are you there? Are you working on the assessment? Hannah, are you working on the assessment? Hopefully everybody's coming back from the break. So let's wait a minute. Okay, everybody should be back now from their break. As we finish up. Oh, you know what? No, Sarah, what did you hear? Let me put it on CP24 here.
Yeah, CP. I ran downstairs to talk to my mom, and she's like, Toronto and I think somewhere else are not moving into the red zone, but York region is. So us. And we're like restaurants and gyms are reopening.
Wow, interesting. So next week, reopen
Monday.
Monday. Wow.
Second. Indoor dining.
So basically Toronto and Peel are still under the stay at home. Yeah, I'm looking at that now.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Okay. Okay, so who wanted to read? I think that was Sabrina wanted to read, right?
Yep.
Let's start with the Hittite Empire. Hittites. Okay, let's start us off. So we're in this package here, and actually start from the up here, Egypt. Yeah.
Okay. Egypt, although long the most powerful and influential state in the Near East, was by no means the only significant civilization in this area of the world. Several other kingdoms and empires rose and fell over the centuries prior to the emergence of the Roman Empire. Among these were the Hittites, the Phoenicians, the Canaanites, and the Hebrews. The Hittites. The Hittites were an Indo-European people who settled in Asia Minor, which is today Turkey. Indo-European refers to the family of languages including English, French, Spanish, Latin, Greek, Persian, and Sanskrit, the ancient language of India. It is believed that the Hittites migrated to Asia Minor from southern Russia around 2700 BC, at a time when Indo-Europeans were immigrating en masse into Italy, Greece, Iran, India, and Central Asia. The Hittites, like the Egyptians, established one of the strongest kingdoms of the Near East and were one of the last great kingdoms of the Bronze Age. The Hittites had established themselves as a prominent force by about 1650 BC. At the time, the Hittites established themselves. At a time which they had established a capital at Hattusha. With the sacking of Babylon at about 1595 BC, the Hittites established themselves as a force to be reckoned with in the Near East. Over the 200 years between 1400 BC and 1200 BC, the Hittite Empire reached its greatest extent. Under King Suppiluliuma. It's a long name,
It's fine.
sir.
Just make it a short. Just King Soup, okay?
King Soup. Under King Soup, 1380 to 1340 BC, whose reign unparalleled Akhenatans in Egypt, the Hittites managed to seize Egyptian territory in northern Syria. While Akhenaten was preoccupied with religious reform, Soup was able to successfully invade a disoriented
Egypt.
Disoriented Egypt. Later, toward the end of the 14th century BC, the Hittites and the Egyptians agreed first to peace and then to the forming of an alliance. The Hittites, realizing the limits of their strength and the extent to which they could endure attacks from their many hostile neighbors, began to search for diplomatic and political solutions to avoid war. After fighting the army of Ramses II to a standstill in Syria about 1300 BC, the Hittites agreed to end their wars with the Egyptians. Although this brought an end to War in the Although this brought an end to war between the two great powers of the Near East, neither were able to savor the benefits of peace for long. Within a century, both empires would be destroyed by invaders.
Good. So at their height, these two, the Hittites and the Egyptians, were always in conflict. They were the two, around 1250 BC. They were the two great empires at that time. So they were always in conflict. And it came to a head at what was called the Battle at Kadesh in 1250, which ended up in a draw. But that was a really big battle. But yeah. Eventually, their reigns would decline towards the end of the century. Yeah, you could continue on with Hittite culture.
Hittite culture and society shared some customs with other states of the Near East. This was in part due to the fact that they readily adopted aspects of the cultures they conquered. Mesopotamian culture undoubtedly had the greatest impact on the Hittites, as can be seen by the fact that both societies believed the king became a god after death. Hittite society was divided among rigid class lines. At the head of this society were the king and queen, the king being recognized as the head of the army, the chief judge, and high priest. He personally led the army into battle and handled diplomatic affairs with foreign powers. The queen was also highly regarded, playing a role in some diplomatic affairs as well as having some religious duties to perform. Beneath the king and queen were the members of the aristocracy. The aristocracy was composed largely of the king's relatives and served as royal administrators. Despite the family connections to the crown, the aristocracy posed a constant threat to the king. Ambitious members of the aristocracy led repeated revolts against the king, hoping to seize the throne for themselves. The numerous plots against the king bred instability within the government. The third important class in Hittite society were the warriors. This group met in their own assembly, the Pankis, to hear the king's will. Although they could not vote on government policy, they did serve as a court of law on the power to punish criminals. Aside from these divisions, Hittite society was further divided according to one's profession. The Hittites were a largely agricultural society in which local affairs were handled by the elders. Aside from the farming community, there were numerous artisans who made pottery, cloth, leather goods, metal tools, and a number of other goods needed by society. The merchants, who peddled goods from community to community, also formed an important part of Hittite culture. At the bottom of the social and economic scale were the slaves, who were often captured at war.
Excellent. Thank you, Sabrina. Very good. Let's move on with the Phoenicians. Who would like to read that? Stephanie, would you like to read? Are you interested?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. Let's learn more about these two groups now, including the Phoenicians, which I haven't really talked too much about yet. Go ahead.
Among the most important of the small kingdoms is the Near East, where the Canaanites and the Phoenicians. The Canaanites were Semitic tribes who first settled in the area of Palestine. They developed a thriving urban civilization with Jericho and Jerusalem as their major cities, which were established at about the same time of the Old Kingdom of Egypt. By 1200 BC, the Canaanites were driven from Palestine to a narrow strip of land along the Mediterranean called the Phoenicia. There developing a new culture that was called Phoenician. Phoenician culture was a blend of Mesopotamia and Egyptian culture with innovation by the Phoenicians. Perhaps their greatest innovation was a vastly simplified alphabet. The
Good.
Phoenician
Hold on.
alphabet.
When we think about the Phoenicians, we think about our alphabet. This is where it originated from. Okay. Phoenicia, which is now modern day Lebanon. Okay. Continue, please.
The Phoenician alphabet used one letter to designate a sound, thereby simplifying reading and writing to the point that many more members of society could learn to read and write. The Phoenician alphabet was later adapted by the Greeks and would become the ancestor to alphabets of the West. The Phoenicians also became extensive traders. and established colonies that serve as trading posts. The most famous and powerful of these were Carthage in the North Africa, which were established in the 813 BC. Carthage would become a major power in the Mediterranean, rivaling Roman in the 3rd and 2nd century BC. Among the most important trade article of Phoenician was a reddish dye, which the ancients called purple. Clothing dyed in this color was considered a luxury and became a symbol of royalty. The extensive trade network of the Phoenicians allowed for the spread of their alphabet and the culture. As a result, despite never having had the numerical strength to establish a mighty kingdom, the Phoenicians made a significant contribution to the Western culture and civilization.
Thank you so much. Yes, and that being the development of the alphabet, right? And later, the Phoenicians will create a really large trading network, and this was called Carthage. Carthage would later become a significant rival to the Romans, and they would have many wars, which we're going to focus on later. So Carthage and Rome were major rivals. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not going to read the Israelites with you because we've already spent a lot of time on the Israelites. Okay, but I do want you to read this. I want you to continue reading. Okay, so there's only a few pages here. It's just a reading of the Hittites, the Phoenicians, and you're going to finish off with the Israelites. Okay, and then I have the very last page is just a primary source from the Old Testament. Okay, a historical source from the Old Testament. When you're done the reading, you could see here I have two parts. There's part A and part B. I'll start with part B. Part B is just the definitions, just a simple sentence or two for each one of these definitions, which most of them you can find in the PowerPoint that we went through. Okay, you can use the PowerPoint to answer these questions. And second, here we have part A, which is applying your knowledge, 7 questions that, again, you can find in the reading. Okay, we've already went through this. So you can answer these questions 1 to 7, and then you have the key terms and definitions. And if you go to homework, I posted it here under Ancient Egypt, Israel. This will be the last piece of homework for Unit 1. And Ancient Egypt as well. There are 4 items here, as you can see. Let me go. You can see there's 4 items. So all 4 items need to be handed in by Sunday night. Sunday at 10 o'clock. You see here? Sunday at 10. Okay. These are the 4 items for Ancient Egypt and Israel. Okay. And here's all of Unit 1 right here. Okay. The Punic Wars, absolutely. The Punic Wars, we will learn. A Roman Carthage, yes. That's later, though. That's after Greece. So when we will get there in a few weeks. Okay. Any questions for me? Do we understand what we have to do?
Yep, all makes sense.
Any questions, guys? Who should I ask? KD, Tina, any questions?
Nah,
No
sir, I
questions,
think
sorry.
you explained it. You explained it.
Okay. Now, I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with Egypt. If I'm going to give you guys maybe a quiz, maybe a mini assignment, or maybe I'll just drop this homework into an assignment bin. So make sure you complete this homework and complete it well. I might just drop this down and mark it as an assignment. I might give you a quiz, or I might create a whole new assignment. I'm not sure yet. But what you can do is make sure you finish this homework by Sunday. Okay? Okay, so if there's no further questions, you guys can get to work. Okay? If there's no further questions, you can get to work. Hannah, are you there? Can you hear me? Hannah, are you there? No? Okay, so get to work. Ancient Israel homework. Part A, questions. Part B, key terms. I would start with the key terms. I think starting with the key terms, and then you can finish the questions later.